Welcome to this week's edition of Business Today, right here on WRAL.com. I'm Jeremy Salemson, your host, and we are certainly honored and excited to welcome to the studio Morgan Siem, a social media specialist with Media 2 from right here in Raleigh. So Morgan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Well, we brought Morgan on to talk about sort of her expertise in the social media space, what's happening both on the personal side and the business side as well, and discuss some of the different outlets that are occurring today sort of in the social media world. One of the things, Morgan, sort of interesting, we'll start off with, your MO for work is working with clients to achieve critical mass in the social space. Explain to us exactly what that means.
Okay, so critical mass is an interesting term for us to have used because critical mass is typically used in the physics world. But it's a term that means the minimum amount that you have to reach in order to sustain a nuclear chain reaction. So if you take that and put it in the context of the social media world, that nuclear chain reaction, the buzzword that you're hearing in social media for that is viral spread. Everyone's looking to have their message go viral on social media, and usually when clients come to us, that's what they're looking for. So our job is to find that core audience, that core group that they need to reach in order for their message to become self-sustaining, so that they don't need to fuel the fire every day, but if they reach that core group with their message, then it's able to spread without much further push.
Interesting. So, all right, let's talk specifically about some of the different sort of social media outlets as well. Some of the well-known ones, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn as well. Are there some others that have become front runners or leaders as well, and what are we looking at today in terms of that space?
I would say that it depends a lot on what industry you're in, what segment you're trying to target. So there are some really great sites out there that have a very specific target audience. So you know, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, blogs, YouTube, those are very large sites and very likely that you'll find your audience there. But because there are so many sites, there's a huge barrier to entry for people to join another site. People don't want to have another login and they don't want to join another site. So if you're going to have another site, then there has to be a really good reason for people to interact there. So really specialized sites. So, you know, a small version of one would be, there's this one for teachers called Magpies and Butterflies, for instance. You have to sign in, you have to be a parent, a teacher, and there's a reason for parents to want to be on that site because they're very engaged with their students and their students' education.
So are we seeing in some ways some burnout within the social media space? Are people becoming overwhelmed in a way with the number of opportunities that they have to choose from today?
It does happen, which is why we feel like it's very important to know what your resources are, know who you're trying to reach, and don't set yourself up on more sites than you can really manage. It's better to be on one site well-maintained than to be on 10 sites that you're not really focusing on.
All right, so let's talk about business-specific, because obviously there are some that are geared more towards the individual, the personal ones, such as Facebook, for example, although there's some crossover there. LinkedIn, for example, is much more on the business side. Should businesses be careful today about what is being said about them on social media sites? And are you seeing, for example, larger corporations putting into policy specific social media policies?
Yes. Most businesses are putting social media policies in place now. The ones that aren't really should, because employees really do represent your company. So a lot of times you'll see employees using a disclaimer in their Twitter account, for instance, that says, "My tweets are my own." But you know, it is very important to put together social media strategy. The North Carolina state government has handed down a social media policy for all state agencies, so a lot of agencies have to be aware of that. We have financial clients that have to be aware of FINRA. We have state agencies that have to be aware of FERPA. So there's a lot of laws that also have to do with social media, so it's important for employees to know really who is seeing their messaging and how it might affect their jobs in their
Absolutely.
companies.
I think they have to realize that this is simply an extension of their day-to-day life within the business, just an online version of that as well.
Yeah, a lot of it ends up being reputation management, and you know, a lot of the times that what we'll see is that the social media policy can be as simple as "don't be stupid," and then other times we'll see 100-page social media policies for companies that really have a lot of regulation.
Sure. All right, so obviously, you know, there's some advantages even for smaller companies using social media. Has this leveled the playing field somewhat for smaller companies to compete in the same space with larger companies?
I would say in the beginning it did, but social media has become pretty mainstream these days, and at this point the companies with more money are able to do more on social media. The idea behind social media is that it's free, but it's not. There's a lot of paid applications, there's a lot of advertising through social media. So really, the larger budget you have, the more promotions you can do, the greater creative you can create. So I think that there is more of a leveling of the playing field. Everyone can come to the table, but
Well,
big budget
I think
does.
to your point, access has been leveled so that everybody has the same
Yeah.
access, but it's the type of content and the way that they're able to get it out
Yes.
where the budget's obviously going to be a little different as well.
Yes.
So you go back to sort of, are there some general etiquette rules for social media that you could give out as advice to folks, whether it be on the personal side
Yeah.
or on the business side?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the whole point of social media is to create relationships and be part of a conversation. So the main advice that I would give is to bring value to the community that you're interacting with. So it's not anymore about a one-way conversation. Now it's about being accountable and being responsive. So now when you're putting promotions out there, you may have a message that you want to deliver, but you're also going to be accountable to hear the feedback for it.
Yeah, and also, talk about sort of business owners that are either just starting their businesses or just getting involved in the social media space. How about some advice for them? Consistency seems to be, or credibility as well, part of the key for success, and that you don't want to be sort of a one-off with information, and you also want to make sure that you've got valid information as well.
Right.
Talk about that for a minute, if you will.
Right. So I think that to any business starting out, one of the things is you want to make sure that the person spreading your message is someone that you trust with your message. So you don't necessarily want an intern doing your social media. You want someone who really understands the core value of your company.
Absolutely. And finally, so Media 2 is involved in kind of a cool opportunity, sort of a
Yeah.
charity movement, if you will, with the St. Baldrick's Foundation. Give us some insight into that and what it means to not just the company, but to you personally as well.
Well, St. Baldrick's is a really fantastic foundation that raises money for cancer research, specifically for children with cancer. And the way that they do that is they ask people to shave their heads as a way to raise money, raise awareness, and also show solidarity with people who do lose their hair when they're going through chemotherapy. So last year, all the men from Media 2 shaved their heads for St. Baldrick's, and it was just something that really was important to us, brought us together, and had a lot of meaning. So when it came up this year, my really amazing colleague and friend, Stacy, decided that, well, she kind of convinced me to do it as well. So Stacy, Alexander, and myself will be shaving our heads to raise money for St. Baldrick's
Very cool.
on April 7th, along with the men of our company.
Yeah, and I noticed you guys had a sort of a picture of what that may look
Yes.
like on that as well.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that, and thank you for sponsoring such a wonderful cause as well.
Yeah.
We want to thank Morgan for coming to the studio tonight. If you'd like to find out more about Media 2 or about the St. Baldrick's Foundation, you can certainly do so online at media2.net. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We want to thank you as always for watching Business Today right here on WRL.com. I'm Jeremy Salemson, and I'll see you next time.